So everybody does have a copy of the material? Good. I am Judge Mike Lynch of the 167th District Court here in Travis County. This is my 19th, and next to last year. Last week I officially announced that I'm going to retire at the end of this term. It's my 5th four-year term, and that's plenty enough. I'm joined by these folks that were introduced from the District Attorney's Office, and this is the second year we've done this. And we're very happy to be back to address again a group of Texas teachers, although I understand that in honor of me, I guess, who grew up in Arkansas, they invited a couple of teachers from Arkansas here, right? We got 2 teachers from Arkansas? All right. Cabot and... All right. Thank you. So, welcome to all the teachers, and thanks for having us back. When Dave asked us to do this last year, I immediately jumped at it and got together with Gail and the DA's office to get some other volunteers to help put it together. Because since I've been on the bench, it's been one of my main goals to try to help educate the public about the criminal justice system. And that kind of grew out of feedback I got, well, from a lot of things. One, I knew from talking to folks just generally that what actually went on in the courthouse and what people believed went on in the courthouse was often 2 different things. And then I got feedback from jurors. I spent a lot of time with jurors after trials getting feedback, and they say, hey, this wasn't so bad. I tried to get out of jury service every way I could, but now I'm really glad I did it. I learned a lot. This isn't anything like what I've been seeing on TV. And of course, that's where we get most of our ideas about the criminal justice system, most people anyway, is through television or movies, Hollywood stories. And or we read in the paper about some exceptional event, usually bad, that occurred, and we put all that together to get our image of what goes on down there. But our profession's not much different from yours. I'm sure you believe probably that what you see in movies and TV about what goes on in school is not real, what goes on in school. I just saw a trailer for a new movie called Bad Teacher. I don't remember high school being that way, and I doubt it is, so you see what I'm saying. So in any case, I've long sought to do what I could to help further the information, accurate information about what goes on at the courthouse, and in a couple of different ways. One is each semester I send out to every social studies teacher I can find in Travis County, every public and private high school, a letter inviting them to the courthouse. And if some AISD schools can't afford a bus, I try to get the money to pay for the bus to bring them down, to spend a morning in my court watching what goes on. And I take time out, as does my prosecutor and defense lawyers, and we talk to them and explain to them what goes on in a felony court. Also, I have a website that needs updating a little bit. It's getting a little old right now, and the county's in the process of doing that. But the first sheet in your packet, the first 2 sheets, are really the first 2 pages of that website. And if you see on the second page, there's a little picture of a courtroom with different participants having a box around them. If you go to that website and hit on that box, it'll pop up the picture of that particular individual and an explanation of what their role in the criminal justice system is, from the judge to the court reporter to the bailiff to the prosecutor to the jury to the defense attorney. And the website's there. If that can be helpful in any way, I'd encourage you to take a look at it. Also, the last about 3 pages are on the website as well, and that's called The Process of a Felony Arrest in Texas. And that's the way a criminal case proceeds through the criminal justice system from its inception to its final disposition. That's on the website, and you're going to see a little demonstration of that. That's kind of what the bulk of our presentation is today, is taking you through a case in the criminal justice system. Before we get to that, just a little bit of general background. A lot of you probably know pretty much all of what I'm about to say in this little synopsis of the criminal justice system in general, but just so we're all kind of on the same page, I'll go quickly through some background information, and then we'll get to the actual presentation. there are two main systems, two main criminal justice systems in the United States, the federal system and the state system. They are very distinct and different. They are completely separate. And I'll give you an idea to what extent that is in just a moment. But the federal system is the United States federal court system, headed by the Supreme Court of the United States. Then there's courts of appeals, 11 of them throughout the United States. And then there's the federal district courts that sit in different parts of the country. In Texas, they're all over: Houston, Dallas, El Paso, Austin, San Antonio, and all over the state out in West Texas. And they handle, from the criminal side, offenses that are against laws passed by Congress, the United States Congress. And so there are federal laws that are violated. You go to federal court. Counterfeiting charges. Other things that involve specifically federal type offenses involving things that the federal government does. Income tax violations. Large dope cases. Crimes against federal officials, crimes in federal institutions, crimes on federal property. All those kinds of things are crimes against the United States. They're tried in federal court. Then we have a state court system that people get charged with crimes passed by the Texas legislature. Penal offenses within the state of Texas, those are in the state system. And they're, as I say, two distinct systems, but they can cross over. In other words, you can commit a crime and violate both federal law and state law. You rob a bank, that's a federal crime. You're robbing an institution that's guaranteed and insured by the federal government. So that's a federal crime for which you can receive a serious penitentiary sentence in a federal penitentiary. But it's also a state crime, aggravated robbery, under the Texas Penal Code. And in Texas, you could receive up to a life sentence for robbing a bank. So you could be prosecuted in both jurisdictions. Now, people obviously say, what about double jeopardy? That's the first thing that people ask. Well, because they're two distinct systems, the Supreme Court of the United States says there is no double jeopardy problem. So you could theoretically be tried and given a sentence in federal court for robbing that bank and be taken over into state court and tried for aggravated robbery and be given a state sentence as well. Now, generally speaking, there's a policy against trying people in both systems, but it's only a policy of the federal government. If a federal prosecutor wants to do that, the process used to be, and I think it still is, they have to go up through the Justice Department to somebody high up in Washington and get permission for that double prosecution. The idea being to save resources and time. If a person's getting prosecuted in one jurisdiction, why do it in both? So there's lots of crimes like that, drug cases, robbery cases, and those kind of cases where they cross over and you could be tried in either system. But again, usually it's just one system. Now, there are some exceptions to that. If you remember back during the Civil Rights days down in Mississippi, when folks were pretty much getting away with murder, literally, and 12 guys about my age and about the same color as me would be picked as a jury, and in a murder case involving a white man accused of killing a black man, and the jury would acquit him. In those cases, you remember several times the federal government stepped in and filed after the acquittal, where normally in the Mississippi system you couldn't try a person again because of double jeopardy, even if he came on new evidence. That is forever foreclosed once there's an acquittal. But the federal government came in and tried him for a violation of constitutional right, that is the right to remain alive, and got convictions in federal court when they couldn't in state court. So there are times when the federal government will step in and do that, and that in our history is one of the prime examples of that. Now, within the Texas system, as you might know, there's a hierarchy of courts. We start with the justices of the peace court. That's the lowest court, the basic low trial court in the state of Texas. And on the criminal side, they handle things like tickets, speeding tickets, traffic tickets, public intoxication cases, Class C misdemeanors, for which the maximum punishment would be $500 fine, no jail time. That's in the justice of the peace court. The next step up is county courts and county courts at law. and they handle misdemeanor cases like first and second offense driving while intoxicated, assault where there's bodily injury but not serious bodily injury, thefts up to about $1,500, any kind of theft under $1,500. Those are the kind of cases that are tried in county court. There's either Class B or Class A misdemeanors. The maximum punishment on a Class B is 6 months in jail, $2,000 fine. The maximum punishment on a Class A, 1 year in jail, and a $4,000 fine. That's county court at law. The highest trial court in the state, before you get to the appeals court that just hear appeals, they don't actually hear trials with juries. The highest trial court is the district court. My court is one of those district courts. We hear on the criminal side felony cases. A felony is a crime for which a person, if convicted, could receive, on the low end, a term in a state jail facility. We've had those for about 15, 20 years, state jails. The maximum is a 2-year, day-for-day term in that state jail. They're kind of regional jails, kind of one step between the county jail and the penitentiary. And those are offenses, small amounts of drugs, under a gram of cocaine, for instance, marijuana from 4 ounces to 50 pounds, offenses like that, car theft, thefts between $1,500 and $20,000. Those kind of offenses, you can get up to 2 years of state jail. Then there's third-degree felonies for which you can get up to 10 years in the penitentiary. Second-degree felonies for which you can get up to 20 years. First-degree felonies like that, aggravated robbery, aggravated sexual assault, aggravated kidnapping, murder, for which you could receive a sentence from 5 years to 99 years or life. And then, of course, above that, there are repeat offenders. If you get your third felony, the minimum's 25 years, the maximum's 99 years or life for a habitual offender. And then you have your capital murder cases, for which, if convicted, you could receive the death penalty. We just finished a trial last month in my court, capital murder with a sexual assault involved. The person did receive the death penalty. It doesn't happen very often in Travis County, but it did happen last month in my court with a 3-hour jury verdict. And it was a particularly horrendous case. But capital murder is murder plus some aggravating factor. If you just don't like me, well, not me, not a good example. Killing a judge is a capital offense. But if you just don't like your neighbor and you walk over one day when he's walking out to a car or picking up his newspaper in the morning and you shoot him, and because you just didn't like him, he didn't like the, he tore down your fence the night before or something, or his dog got loose again, and you shoot him, that's regular murder, what we call regular murder. That's 5 to 99 years or life. Now, if you stole his newspaper at the time, you shot him, and that would be an aggravated robbery in the course of committing the murder, and you shot him intentionally. You meant to kill him, and you committed some other serious felony while you were doing it, that can raise it to capital murder, where you can receive the death penalty. So it's murder while you're committing aggravated robbery, aggravated kidnapping, burglary of a habitation. If you kill a prison guard, a judge, a police officer, a child under the age of 6, if you kill more than one person at the same time in the same episode, and several others, the legislature adds one nearly every time they meet, that becomes a capital murder for which, if the jury answers the questions right, you can get the death penalty. So that's sort of the system we have in Texas. That's the Texas system. One other quick thing before we get to our demonstration here, to kind of put it in perspective.